It's Jermaine Burton, and they're going to take him, and they're going to go off the board a little bit. And
I'm with you.
And they're going to take a guy with some character risks, and it's not the way they normally draft wide receivers either. But like we said on tape, what a dangerous weapon this guy is! Absolutely like fun. Just put on some tape.
I'm telling you, man.
James Burton, baby.
Type in Jermaine Burton versus on YouTube and just sit back and have a beer, have a good time.
The dude can play.
Wow.
The dude can play, but man, Shevitz.
Listen, my guy from Trevor Sikkema from PFF, he literally told me, he said, this is my 10th ranked wide receiver in the draft class. Everybody had questions about him because of the character concerns. And we talked about it on State of the Jungle, and everybody ripped us for the pick. They said, this is a horrible pick. Granted, we did draft him in the second round, so you guys might be right. But man, did we get a dog? I mean, I'm happy right now.
You know what?
Push Manzada,
who's a friend of First Star Logistics. He hung out in the First Star Logistics suite. He's making the 3rd round pick, man. So this is just beautiful altogether, man.
Who went in the 7th round himself and kicked some tail,
man.
I'm telling you, they would have gone with Sweat. I think Sweat would have been a candidate. If he didn't go off the board, Sweat would have been a 3rd round candidate. If they thought, hey, we think about him there, why not think about Burton in the same way? I mean, if they feel like they can handle Sweat, who wants to be the life of every drinking party there is in the United States of America, why not go with Burton? I mean, the life of the party. Sweat, he's going to be sweating it out, man.
No, if you feel great about where you are with the character, like we said, with the wide receivers coach being so good at developing these guys, with having great leaders in the locker room and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all these guys who can command respect probably more than you could in the college ranks. Just looking at the on-field stuff, man, he's got great change of direction. He's got a good release package, can attack all levels of the field in different ways, has good route nuance with head fakes and attacking leverage and shoulder, just all the small things that help you get open and create separation. And he was 90th plus percentile in receiving grade versus single coverage versus man coverage versus on yards per route run, 0 drops, great hands, especially even on these deep targets and contested catches. That is really big. And if you go back and watch his tape, he is a weapon over the middle in the red zone, and he is willing to be physical and take hits.
I'll tell you what, last week when I was doing on the podcast in the trenches with Dave Lapham, I was like, all right, what are my 4 positions? All right, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, wide receiver, cornerback, and listed them in that order, not necessarily thinking it might be in that order, but in my mind, cornerback now with that 97th pick. I mean, I think those are the 4 positions to address, and so far, I'm living my dream draft. Well, I got off with 3 out of the 4 right now.
We're looking at the picture of the Bengals war room, and there is some happiness going on.
Oh, Zach just slammed his hand down, big smiling. Listen, guys,
quarterbacks love targets like that.
Oh man,
Joe, can I ask you a question real quick? Because this is something that came up in our conversations about Jermaine Burton. So, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd both around 4 yards after the catch, not really giving you a whole bunch in the last year or two, right? But then if you look at Jermaine Burton, when he was playing maybe about 40% of his routes in the slot with Bryce Young, he was averaging up over 5 yards after the catch. And then when he got relegated to this deep shot role that didn't lend itself to as many of the yards after catch opportunities, do you see him filling in this slot role right now while T. Higgins is on the boundary and offering more athleticism and yards after the catch potential than we did get previously from Tyler Boyd?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the driving force here. I think we saw a bit of it, or them hint towards it when they drafted Charlie Jones last year in the 4th round. Like, hey, we'd like to get a little faster in the slot, right? We got 2 split safeties constantly over top of us. Let's try and beat them down the middle if we can. Even I think of the Jake Browning missed deep ball against the Vikings where Charlie Jones comes up short. We started to see more speed slot options out of that position when they started rotating Charlie Jones in. And then you get to the offseason here, they let Tyler Boyd walk. And the whole time I'm thinking, okay, 2 things this offense really needs. Let's protect Joe Burrow. But number 2, they really don't have enough yak guys. If you're going to play cloud coverage against them, all right, let me get some guys underneath that can run and make you miss and do some damage that way. And Jermaine Burton definitely fills that. He is a very fun player to watch on tape. We talked about runs so many times tonight. The runs that we should have been talking about are the runs these cornerbacks have when they line up against Jermaine Burton, and he comes off that line and he rips off the line, and you can see them instantly panic. Like, I like that when I watch him film, whether it's in the O-line, D-line, trenches where you're covering a guy. If you instantly see a little bit of fear and panic and just erraticness from the guy covering the wide receiver, you can tell they can see his movement skills, and they're like, okay, this guy's a little bit different.